Hello everyone, it's Jansen here. Now in this week's video, I wanted to revisit the topic that I covered a few videos ago, which is Amazon FBA automation scams. And the reason that I wanted to kind of recover this topic is because in the last few weeks or so, there's been quite a big news story that's broken concerning an Amazon FBA automation company run by Just One Dime. Now, to help with this discussion today and to help explain the story, I've got my friend Alex from the Honest Entrepreneurs. Alex did a really good video on summarising the Amazon automation scam involving Just One Dime about a week or two, wasn't it, Al? And
yeah.
You kind of did the story as soon as it broke, but I think since then we've both been doing a bit of additional research, browsing the forums, the Facebook groups and so on, and we've learned quite a lot about how bad this scam actually was and the upset that it's caused. So before we kind of run through what happened, why it's bad and our own views, let's just kind of cover what Amazon FBA automation is. So Alex, as you are the expert on the topic.
So I'm going to say, in my view, Amazon automation is essentially when companies are offering a service where they will build you an Amazon business, where all you do is invest an upfront cash. So you will give them a lump of cash and they will do absolutely everything for you. So you don't need to do anything. You don't do any product research. You don't launch any products. You're literally like a silent investor. And you put your money in, and then you get a profitable Amazon business out of the other end.
Exactly, yeah. And kind of the way that it works with these Amazon FBA automation companies is they will take an upfront fee from the investor. And from my research into the area, it's typically $30,000 to $50,000. That is an upfront fee, and it's like a work fee or a consulting fee. It doesn't include inventory costs, branding costs, or anything else that you'll kind of need to invest in the business. So that fee there is basically for somebody to go out, find you a product to sell, brand it for you, list it on Amazon, and then manage it. In addition to that upfront fee, you also need to pay a proportion of your revenues to the automation company. And this is kind of where some of the trouble lies. It's not a proportion of your profits, but a proportion of your revenues. And this has basically led to a lot of people doing Amazon FBA automation making huge losses, because if they did have any profits at all, that's just been completely eradicated when the automation company has taken their slice. So there are a number of reasons why this Amazon FBA automation model just doesn't work, and it is a scam regardless of who is promoting it. Now, Alex and I have kind of got our own views on it. Alex, what's your opinion on why this Amazon FBA automation just doesn't work?
It just can't work at scale. I think anybody that actually runs a legitimate Amazon business, they know that as you scale, things get more complicated, more complex, and claiming that you can launch a successful product for even 30 people at the same time is a big ask. You would have to have an insanely huge team. But I think the reason why these companies are a scam is because there was no cap on how many people they were willing to do it for. So when you're trying to do this for hundreds, if not thousands of people, there's just no way that you can do it at that scale. And that's obviously been the case because of what's happened.
Exactly, yeah. And I think when you kind of put yourself in the position of what these automation companies are doing, which is effectively product research, brand building, and launching products for hundreds of people, there's just no way that they're able to retain, control or stay on top of things. And from the research that I did online, reading reviews of people that took part in these automation schemes, they found that their brand builders or automation managers were not responsive. They were very slow on getting basic things done, such as registering Amazon accounts and so on. And it's easy to see why, isn't it? Because these guys are spinning far too many plates. Now, fundamentally, I don't think getting somebody to do Amazon FBA for you is a scam. But I don't think I'd quite describe it as automation. So I think hiring maybe a consultant and just saying, look, I will give you an upfront fee to do everything for me, just kind of keep me in the loop. I think that technically can work. And I do actually know of a couple of people that have done that and have made it a success. But it's when it becomes an agency doing it at scale that it just becomes an impossible task, and it becomes something where you're just not able to retain quality. And obviously, I think you're going to start running the risk of giving investors conflicting products and so on and so on. So that's my view. And I think it's also proven to be true from the fact that Kevin David, his Amazon automation scheme, got shut down and he got fined 50 million along with his partner David Arnett. And recently, Just One Dime. So that is what we are primarily here today to talk about. Just One Dime. So Alex, before this kind of broke, before you did your breaking news story, had you heard of Just One Dime before? And can you explain who they were, what they did?
Yes. So Just One Dime, they've been around on YouTube for a long time. I think when I first started Amazon, and I obviously you go on YouTube and you search whatever, you see their videos. To be honest, my opinion of them in the past before I learned that they did the automation stuff was their content, I think, was quite good. Great production value, huge biceps on Seth. But in general, I didn't really have them in the category of, they were quite truthful about Amazon. Their content was okay. It wasn't like, super amazing or anything like that, but it wasn't. I didn't have the impression from them that they were kind of like, fake gurus or that type of stuff. I thought they had quite good content and it was good for beginners. And I knew they sold an Amazon course, but I would have expected the Amazon course to be quite good based on their free content.
Yeah, and they built up quite a big following, didn't they? So I think they had at least a couple of 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and they were well liked, well respected, and built up a lot of trust. And they, for a number of years, just offered this Amazon FBA course, and then I believe in 2020 started offering a done-for-you service, aka Amazon FBA automation. Now, they charged $30,000 for this, so it wasn't a cheap service, and it was basically designed to attract, pretty well-off individuals that wanted to diversify maybe current income streams, but didn't want to do the work. Basically, they wanted to pay somebody or pay a company to start making them money on Amazon. Now, Seth Kniep, who is the founder of Just One Dime, started offering this automation service, and in his promotional materials, he's making some pretty bold claims. So he's saying, you can expect a minimum of a 200% ROI in your first year. So minimum. He's saying you can expect to be profitable in, the first 2 to 3 months, and generally just making some, pretty big claims. And it's all come to a head basically in the last month, and his company Just One Dime have now filed for bankruptcy out of over 1,000 investors, each paying minimum $30,000. From the research that I've done online, they've only had around 150 people actually start selling. Well, they've only created 150 stores. The rest have completely lost out. They've lost their money. And people are basically scratching their heads, they're angry, and they want to know where their investments have gone, that $30,000, and what happened. So Al, from your research that you did in your video a couple of weeks back, what did you kind of discover?
Yeah, basically along the same lines, that people paying at least $30,000. That was the minimum. Apparently, Seth was the conditions were that you had to invest $10,000 into one product, and then you had to have at least three products, and that's three products. So that's where the $10,000, the $30,000 total investment came from. But I had a lot of people comment on the video that I made saying they'd actually, invested more. So one guy said he invested $340,000, which was pretty nuts. But the general consensus is
Yeah.
that they started this, and despite not seeing any results at all, they continued to advertise it. They continued to take money, and I think this is where I've seen people in the comments to my video and in the comments to other videos almost defending Seth and saying that he had good intentions and it spiraled out of control. And I think perhaps I don't really agree with that. I think if you were going to do this, like we said, I think you would start small and you would, get proof of concept and actually see that it worked, and then you would try and scale it relative to that. And I think that's how every agency works, right? Is you start with a small number of
Yeah.
clients, you get success for those clients, and then you scale that. But it doesn't seem to be the case with Just One Dime. It seems like they got very greedy and just continued to advertise it to more and more people, despite nobody making any money. No, despite
Having
the
all those
vast
problems.
majority of people, not even getting a product live.
Yeah, so my opinion on this is that I don't think he started out with the intention of, I'm going to start a done for you service and I'm going to scam people. I think he started it thinking, we'll, start finding products for people, we'll launch them on their behalf. And then, like you say, greed took over and he kept taking on more and more clients and didn't invest in the business, didn't invest in more staff, and basically bit off far more than he could chew. Now, a video that I watched, which I will link in the corner, is from a YouTuber called Renee, who basically did the Just One Dime done for you scheme. She invested $30,000 in mid 2020, and she basically recorded the exact timeline of the interaction that she had with Just One Dime. And I think this around when she joined was when the scheme first started. And it does appear to be quite genuine. So she talks about how she was allocated a brand builder and she would speak with him and he would say, I found this product for you. What do you think to it? Do you want to go ahead and sell it? I would recommend. And then, he'd go away and design 5 logos for her and 5 brand names, show them to her, ask them which one she prefers, and so on and so on. Now, the kind of head scratching started to be done after about 6 months when he said, now it's time to place an order. And he said, that's going to be $30,000. Who knows if they take a cut for themselves? So she invested another 30K, waited a couple of months again for the manufacturing to be done, and then got told, oh, by the way, shipping's going to be an additional 10K. Now, she was actually in a very fortunate position that she could keep affording to pay all of these additional charges. But I think one area of this scam is that perhaps Just One Dime didn't prepare the investors for the hidden costs that they kept incurring and passing on, which meant that some people just couldn't afford to go ahead and do it, and ultimately meant that they were kind of stuck in a dead end and could no longer pursue it. So if you think about it, that's one brand builder working with one client, and this Just One Dime scheme seemingly only had 3 brand builders for over 1,000 investors. That is an impossible task. I think if I was really put up to it, if I wanted to do a really good job and build a brand from scratch for somebody, the most that you could do at the same time is probably going to be what, 2 or 3.
I think if you had some great systems in place, maybe you could do it, for that amount of people. If you had, some great systems and some good employees, but it's like you say, there's a huge difference between doing that, for 3 or 4 people and hundreds of people. And I mean, just the fact that that he says in his original video when he pitched it, he tries to explain why it's better for them to take 15% of the revenue rather than 15% of the profit, which for me was like a bit of a red flag when I watched it. And it's like, you know, the margins on Amazon at the best of times are not absolutely amazing, and especially with things like the shipping crisis and stuff, which thankfully now are a lot better. But the fact that they were taking 15% of the revenue on top of everything
Yeah.
is kind of crazy.
So they were kind of putting investors in a position where they were probably never going to make a profit, or if they were, it would be very, very difficult. And that's been proven from various people posting on Al's video on the Facebook group saying, yeah, they started to sell as a product, but it never actually made a single penny in profit. But it actually goes a lot deeper than that in terms of why this is a scam. So that itself, you know, doesn't make it a scam. It just kind of makes it a little unprofessional. These guys, these brand builders, were just so overloaded with new clients, and this Seth, leader of Just One Dime, was just not investing in new staff, that they were, I think, becoming overwhelmed and struggling. And because of that, they started giving multiple investors the same products. So they were saying, you know, we will launch a standing desk for you, and it's going to be this brand and this name. And then, unknown to that person, saying to another student, we're going to launch you a standing desk, and it's going to be called that name, and so on. And I saw earlier on today in a Facebook group that's been set up for people unhappy with Just One Dime, somebody said, yeah, we were doing really well. A product that Just One Dime actually launched for us was doing pretty well until they launched a competing product with another investor. And then both of us ended up tanking and losing all our money. And that again just proves why this automation doesn't work when you scale it, because it's not going to be possible to offer 1,000 different investors products that don't compete and don't result in the Amazon automation company having a conflict of interest.
I also think though as well, it also proves what their intentions were, I think, because nobody that actually cares about investor money would ever do that. Because as soon as they got to a point where they realized, and it was blatantly obvious that this was never going to work, the right thing to do would have been to stop applications and then refund the money to the people that they couldn't help. If they'd have done that and they'd have downsized it and they'd have scaled it down and they'd have said, okay, we're going to work with these 50 people, they still would have been making 7 figures, but we're going to get these people successful products, whatever it is, and then we're going to scale it if that works. But that's the key thing that didn't happen, and this went on for 2 years. And another thing is what they did from a marketing standpoint, which Seth is an absolute genius at using his sort of squeaky clean image to sell these services, is they brought people onto the channel and these people gave testimonials. But when you actually listen to what they say, none of them even made any money. So he would bring them on and interview them, and they would be saying, Seth, you changed my life. I owe you everything. And I was thinking, watching it, wow, this guy must have made a fortune. And then you say, oh, so how did your product actually go? And the guy says, oh, I mean, well, we didn't make any profit yet, but I've got a lot of belief in the product. And this is, for me, is what the big thing is this is him being a predator and preying on these people that put the trust in him that he's going to change their lives. And it's because he spins up these lies, he exaggerates about everything. He tells people what they want to hear, and he just lies, basically. And he lied consistently about everything.
And I think he's that persuasive that even though his company has now filed for bankruptcy and investors are pretty much going to get nothing back, you still see people in the comments saying, oh, Seth, you're going to rise from the ashes, you know, I wish you well. These are people that haven't invested in the scheme, but they're subscribers to his channel. And, you know, they're so compelled by his personality and his online presence that they're just like, no. They've kind of got Stockholm syndrome in a way. Now, Renee, the person that I spoke about earlier that, you know, recorded her experiences, she actually uploaded that video, I think, around 8 months ago or so. And she then was kind of expressing discontent. She was saying, you know, we've been sat now for 4 or 5 months with the stock seemingly in a warehouse and they're just not getting on with it. They're not responding to my emails on time, and I haven't got to the point of selling. Now, she uploaded another video a couple of weeks ago when the bankruptcy filing was announced, and was incredibly angry because she said it's at that point that she realised that it was in effect a scam. And the reason for that is that around 2 or 3 months prior to the bankruptcy filing, Seth and Co said, you know what, guys, this private label model isn't working, so we're going to be closing it. And what we'd encourage you to do is switch over to our online arbitrage model, where we will run an online arbitrage store for you. Now, any sensible person would think that they'd be doing that for free, but no, they were charging another 10 to 20k for the pleasure. And I believe that for Renee, they said, you know, given that you've been with us so long, we'll do it for 10,000. So, you know, there's a lot of red flags being popped up there from that. The fact that they closed the private label scheme, then continuing to take money for the arbitrage scheme, knowing full well that they were about to default and file for bankruptcy, so that they would never be able to fulfill their obligations there.
Crazy. I mean, what was he doing with all of this money is what I want to know. Where did the money go?
So it seems that's a good question. So if you think $30,000 from over 1,000 investors, and that's minimum, because a lot of people would have been doing upsells. Where did the money go? Because it's not going on inventory and it's not going on anything related to Amazon. He's got 3 brand builders. So from court bankruptcy filings where he's had to list all his assets and so on, it seems that he was paying his staff, who were his family, huge salaries, his wife, and I believe his son, perhaps, his wife certainly, and purchasing real estate, you know, just basically extracting cash from the company in order to fund his lavish lifestyle. So there's that there. Other red flags that I've got loads of notes here on all red flags. So other red flags that I came across were he got all of his students a couple of months ago, or investors rather, to sign NDAs to say that they couldn't talk to anybody about this automation scheme. They couldn't, you know, do YouTube videos slagging it off. They couldn't confer with each other, and that was done for numerous reasons. One, so that other investors wouldn't, you know, other new investors wouldn't think, oh, hang on, this seems a scam. And 2, so that fellow investors within the automation scheme wouldn't go, hang on, you're selling the exact same product as me, or you've been given the exact same product as me. That is where it becomes very, very obvious that this is a scam, and it's been designed that way. The NDA is designed to stop people from discovering that, which I think is pretty disgusting.
It's crazy. And when you read the comments from these people that invested, they were under the impression that there was only a handful of people. They didn't know that it was this whole world of people, you know, throwing their money in there, which, yeah, and I don't know, getting them to sign the NDA, I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, and actually, so Renee, to go back to her, her video review of Just One Dime, she said that they messaged her after and said that was quite negative. Can you take that down? And then asked her to sign the NDA, and she just point blank refused. If you look at their Trustpilot, I think now because of the fact that they file for bankruptcy and these NDAs become like invalid, you will see tons of negative reviews from people that have effectively been scammed, and you know, there's going to be hundreds of people, no doubt, taking action against Seth and Co. So that leads us on to the next topic of kind of people that have promoted Just One Dime. So one of the biggest affiliates of the Just One Dime Amazon FBA course was YouTuber Dan Rogers, who Alex was quite vocal about on his previous video. So Alex, what is your view? Dan has just today on the 20th done a video talking about it and saying how he wasn't affiliated to the Amazon automation scheme at all, and he didn't know and was just promoting the Amazon FBA course. Now, what's your take on that?
I think he is responsible. I think he's responsible for a lot of people losing their money. And I think he's done the obvious thing that anybody is going to do. They're going to try and officially disassociate themselves with the company. But the fact is he was making videos on his own channel, he was making videos on their channel, and his excuse is that he never actually specifically named the Done For You program. And there's been a lot of people defending him, saying, "Oh, well, he didn't actually refer people to that program." The reason that he never talked about that program is because he knew that program was absolute trash from the beginning. Because anybody that understands Amazon and how Amazon works knew that there was no way that they could do what they were claiming they were going to do. So he knew that it wasn't good from the beginning. And anybody that knows how business works knows that if you refer somebody to a company that has essentially two products, one is an Amazon course, the other one is a Done For You course, every single person that you refer to that company is also going to get upsold or marketed the other product. Every single one of those people will have been marketed that product. So he knew full well that was going on. There's no way that he can say he didn't know that was going to happen, because that's just how business works. And he's an affiliate. I think he was the biggest affiliate. The reason that he didn't say anything is because he was making great money from referring people to Just One Dime's course, which is fair enough. The course was legit. There's nothing wrong with that. And in the beginning, when they first brought out the scheme, there's no reason why I'm not saying he should have immediately cut ties, but he should have been asking questions. Are the people that I'm referring being upsold this, or they whatever? Because I don't really agree with it. And especially when there was already rumors circulating that people were not making any money. And I just think that he completely turned a blind eye. I think he knew, I'm not saying that he knew to the full extent, but I think anybody that says he's not responsible is naive.
I think he certainly would have known that people weren't getting results. I mean, there was a big video from CoffeeZilla talking about Just One Dime, which undoubtedly he would have seen. I'm sure he would have had people asking him for his opinion on it. You only have to take a look at Just One Dime's reviews, right? I'm sure you can find negative reviews prior to the bankruptcy filing. And for him to only just come out now and publicly say, I was nothing to do with it, I did promote the products, but I only promoted the Amazon FBA course, I think it's a little disingenuous.
Yeah, I agree. And I obviously understand why he's doing it, but he's also getting a lot of people that are defending him. And I think when you're an affiliate for a company like that, you've got to do diligence. And at the very least, he's guilty of not doing that. And when you're doing that as an affiliate, I think you have that responsibility.
I agree, actually. I think a couple of people in the comment section, when you were having one of your little discussions with somebody, said, I used to work for Nike in the baseball department and I wasn't aware of what was going on in a different department or whatnot. I think you can't really use that analogy here, especially given how small Just One Dime is, and everybody knows that they only have two products, Amazon FBA and the automation scheme. It's difficult, isn't it? Because I don't directly blame him, but I do think that for him to say, I knew nothing of it and I just promoted their products, their Amazon FBA course product, that was it, I don't think that's quite right.
I think you're being too nice. I blame him completely, and I think he should be held responsible for it. Sorry, for me, imagine I was an affiliate for FTX, and I knew, and I didn't know exactly what was happening, but there was all these rumors starting to circulate that there was these things happening with FTX. There was rumors starting to circulate. There was obvious things that anybody with a good understanding of the cryptocurrency world should understand. And I continued to promote that company and drive people to that company. For me, it's almost the same as something like that. And I think he was sending tens of thousands of people to their website every single month, and he's got to be held responsible in some way. And now he's saying, "Oh, let me know what videos I can do to help you out." I'm sorry, Dan, there ain't going to be a video that's going to get $30,000, $60,000 back for these people, is there? Maybe you need to, create a fund and actually help these people with some of the. He probably made 7 figures in the past 2 years as an affiliate for Just One Dime's course. So there's a percentage of those people that also bought the Done For You program, which for me is direct responsibility. I'm sorry.
And I think his kind of suggestion of what lessons can I film for you to follow, it's not really a solution, because these are people that invested cash that didn't want to do anything. They wanted somebody else to do it. So for him to go, what do you want me to do a video on product research? That is just going to go completely over their heads, because they've not been taught anything, right? They've literally just paid over 30K. And I think that kind of brings us nicely on to the final point in this video, which is what should people do? And my view is, don't do Amazon automation, learn how to do it properly. And if you really want to, if you don't think you have the time, once you've learned how to do it, once you've started selling a product, you can outsource the running of the business. But getting somebody to just do absolutely everything for you, getting a company to do it all for you, it's just got disaster written all over it. And when scouting the Facebook groups today, I saw somebody say, I've got 100 units of a standing desk that is now in a warehouse that I can't sell because I don't know how to sell. And somebody said, well, why don't you learn? And he's just like, I don't want to, so I'm going to liquidate or just trash it. And it's sad really, because it's just complete waste of that guy's money.
It really is sad, and it's and in my last video, I think I was a little bit harsh on with the comments that I said. I think I might have said that people were lazy and not wanting to do it themselves, and I think I was wrong in saying that, because I didn't really see it as like a normal investment. I don't think, because of course there are investments where you invest in a company and you don't do anything, you're a silent investor. And people were literally duped into thinking that was the case here. So I apologize if I offended anybody with that, and I take that back. I don't think they were lazy, but I agree. I think if you're still interested, Amazon FBA, if you're building brands, is still an amazing opportunity, and it's going to continue to be as long as the company is around. But there is a big difference, obviously, with paying somebody to do it all for you and then doing it yourself. I think it's more fun to do it yourself, and you get more out of it, and you learn more, and then the long run, it's going to be better. But I really do feel for the people that were tricked by Seth, and I hope there's some way that they can recoup some of their losses. I don't know how that could happen, but I hope they can.
Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll put all my resources in the description below, one of which is a Facebook group that this Renee set up or runs, where there are tons of people in there, and they're all going through whatever information they can get to find a way to recovery. And interestingly enough, someone did actually find this Seth Kniep's web store on Amazon. He sells minimal, like we're talking like 5 units a month. So, for him to then, for him to say, I can, build you a business that has 200% returns in, its first year. It's just unbelievable, really. So I will put all those links in the description below. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions for me, or I'll post them below. I'll also put a link for the great video that Alex did in the description. And I will leave you with a very interesting clip that I found of Seth Kniep and his views on Amazon FBA. See you guys next time.
But I promise you this, look at all these people, super amazing, cool, beautiful people. Not one of them can make you successful. I can't either. If you're depending on me, please take that burden off me. I can't do it. I won't be your Messiah.